Well, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me relate to the conversation with Łukasz. He said that you can always meet PCG Academia. We've realized that we as Academia have cooperated with PCG for 18 years already. So we have adult cooperation. We also cooperate in Leviathan Confederation, and there we deal with different things, not already related to academia, but so the big involvement of PCG experts in supporting the teaching and scientific processes in higher education. Ladies and gentlemen, with great pleasure, I would like to welcome our guests. Today we are going to discuss the key legislative changes. We've just discussed AI, but the topic that we are going to discuss today is equally dynamic. You know what's happening with M-Obywatel, M-Citizen. There are new functionalities developed. We, as education, use some of these functionalities, like, for example, a delivery that's going to replace sending of registered letters to our students. This is the service that is going to be available to public institutions. So starting from the 10th of December, all public institutions, including universities, will have an obligation to use this service. Well, of course, the service will be owned by the Ministry of Digitization. We are going to join in with the service, but we are going to discuss how to use it. Marcin, a question to you. This is a service for public institutions and non-public institutions, like private universities. Will they be able to use the service or not? Or not now, maybe?
Good morning. I'm happy to be the second day here with you today. Thank you for the invitation. But the question is a bit difficult, because it's already kind of a symbol that no one representing digitization is with us together. Well, we are not yet fully prepared to introduce such things. E-deliveries cannot yet be done. From the point of view of this university, it is a key factor. We have to be sure when we are in the administrative process in relation to the university or students, we must be 100% sure that correspondence is delivered, and we must be able to prove it whenever it comes to a court litigation. So I will perhaps say something a bit cynical, but we have come to a conclusion that we will do some exercise on a living body, meaning the deliveries, and court decisions and verdicts will tell us how well it is being done. We have to realize this fact, you at the universities and us at the ministry. Now, to answer your questions, after December 10, this delivery service will be implemented by public entities, but non-public schools will have to wait a bit longer until the law includes them in the service. We've done all we could, so we have entered this into the law that they are also eligible. The law was sent to the parliament, but then they the same stopped processing it, and we're now waiting until it's brought to the parliament as a bill again, and after that those non-public schools will enjoy the same status as the public schools. But this change in the law will propose the free e-deliveries, free of charge, and otherwise it has to be paid. But the law will make this service free for public schools. Okay, is it also free? We got two types: D, a fully electronic delivery to the inbox of a citizen, and PUH, a kind of a hybrid service. The university sends it digital, but then the post office prints it on paper and sends as a letter to the destination address. So one costs 6 something zlotys, but if the letter is not delivered, then it goes back to the sender and it costs 5 zlotys, 5.2. So altogether, that would increase a lot of costs on the side of the university. So as far as I understand this, the intention of the bill, this hybrid service would be free of charge. Well, let me notice this. This inequality between public and non-public schools causes a certain chaos and confusion, because those who will communicate with those universities, perhaps students that would like to join, they will get correspondence from public and non-public schools, and there can be confusion. So this coordination of these deliveries with the law that Mr. Czaja has mentioned here seems to be very inconvenient to the schools. But now my question is, look, we can see that e-deliveries may be problematic, and we cannot deliver electronic information to foreign students. Well, it's going to be trans-border service. That would perhaps will not reach any further than the European Union, what with other countries outside the EU. Can the schools use a paragraph which allows sending information to an inbox of especially installed for the particular student? But as Łukasz said, this has to be a student. It cannot be as someone who wants to join the university and does not meet the criteria of being a student of a particular university. Because the national interoperational functions have to be ensured as well. One act says that non-public universities are public. Other law says that they are not. So there is a certain confusion in the law as well. Well, at first, these services were used only sometimes, but that allowed us to do some testing, and slowly these services were evolving. But now we will be thrown into a situation that we are getting a nationwide solution, and everyone will have to use it. That may not be a good thing either. Well, e-PUAP, you mentioned, a new solution like e-delivery does not make the student able to send a letter via the e-PUAP. So the universities will have to continue using e-PUAP and e-deliveries for sending and receiving letters. So just another additional system we are getting, and we will have to use it. And once you've received a letter, 7 days after, the system will generate the next information that there is a letter to collect from the system, and if the student does not collect it, it will be considered as correctly delivered formally. So ePUAP includes this, does not have this solution. Now let's talk about subject number 2, that is MID. The Parliament has adopted this document inside the M-Citizen platform. It would be the student's ID. We do not have to print a hard copy ID for a student because that is kind of a logistic problem. Then they have to extend the validity. It will now be possible to keep that ID in the M-Citizen system. Now, what are the plans to introduce this law so that we as the university can get familiar with the problem, the process of issuing such e-IDs? Well, unlike we might think, there are students who are not so well versed in the IT things, or those who do not accept it. So some of those will still require a paper printed ID, student ID. But from October next year on, the universities will issue MIDs for the students, and that will be the main document in the digital form. It will be available on a tablet or smartphone somewhere. And most of the universities know this solution. The MIDs have not been so far used to some extent. We would like to, well, first we could not accept that this new system starts in October this year, because that was the first expectation of the digitization people, because although all big universities are familiar with the system, they know what MID is. It's about 400 higher education schools, and all of them have many students, and we do not want a situation in which a small, not very well computerized school is faced with the problem of issuing such electronic IDs. because they might still need to use the printed IDs. So we thought, well, what if we do a kind of a test at the beginning of the school academic year, but we think it's safer to start with, to go ahead with the program next year. And by that time, the universities will have some time to get ready for producing and using MIDs for their students. You can use this solution right now, but from April next year, it will be mandatory. The change of this regulation will have to, well, I mean, wait until some people in the ministry are replaced by some new faces, a new minister perhaps. I work for the Kozminski Academy, and I'm the coordinator of the IT section there. So I had a pleasure to meet you gentlemen some time ago, and Warsaw. The e-file of the student was discussed, and the students seem to be a bit wary about it. And so we are now watching how this service is, how well is it doing in many schools, because it's a storage of data, and this is kind of an important issue, the storing of students' data. Information like, the fact that somebody justifies absence from the exam by, some reasons, and we are obliged to store this information for 50 years. Well, that perhaps is not very practical in terms of the memory capacity. But are there any discussions or anyone is considering how to slim the student's e-file? Maybe that would require some special extra work, but right now, does the ministry try to make this student file slimmer? Well, since 2016, well, I will praise myself because nobody does it. I've been doing all I can to make it as slim as possible. At least that file that is archived at the university. What you have in this file today, it's okay, it's one thing, but some content has to be kept there and go to the archives. And these are, well, decisions concerning the student, decisions made during his studies. So that goes to the archives. And this is done, also the ID goes to the archives on the grounds of the same regulation. Except the situation where the student finishes the studies, well, because he is relegated, then such a decision has to be kept in the file and in the archives. Very often I am being asked why 50 years such a long time of storing such information is required. Well, because this is the more or less our living and occupational cycle, about 50 years. And whenever someone wants to retire, collects the documents, needs some diploma copies, needs some other certificates, it's got to be there. You know, it's a great problem for those people who went to some university and that school after some time was does not exist anymore, and then it is very difficult to get those documents out of some other archives whenever they ended up. That is why the law wants to store such documents for 50 years. And then we do not have those documents. Somebody's got to keep it instead. And it's been a problem for many people so far. So we will not make that 50 years any shorter, but we can give up certain documents that are being stored now. And we are also working on the changing the term of scrapping documents, because scrapping normally has to come together with a protocol, with the opinion of the archive staff. There will be some solution to it, but right now we have not yet done it yet, so I don't know.
Now I'm going to ask whether maybe this is the space to create a central student file as a national problem. Yeah, this is a question to Łukasz. Well, first of all, what we have in the horizon is my individual educational account on the internet that will include the portfolio of different educational certificates. So there is an idea to have the documentation of the university studies for even given person there. The student will be able to get a certificate that he or she is a student, or the student will be able to confirm the education later on because of having the electronic diploma, or if the university is closed down, for example, or transformed, some unexpected situations may happen, the documents will be available in the central ministerial registry. It will be possible to find them and use them for different purposes, like the social insurance institution. Well, I understand that at the moment, the diploma is a project that consists of several stages. So what is the status of this project? Because actually the schools are interested in that. There are two institutions involved. One of them is going to run the registry, and the other one is going to make the kind of visualization of this diploma available. So can we discuss any dates related to that, when we are going to see the first effects? Well, to clarify certain issues. First of all, we should discuss the establishment of the central repository of electronic diplomas. This will be part of the Poland system. The act that I was discussing yesterday added a new registry to Poland, and this is what the Information Processing Center is going to work on. And this place will not only be the place where diplomas will be stored, it will also be equipped with a set of tools that will make the diplomas available to students. So our system will add the time stamp and the seal to the diplomas. This is important because of the transformations taking place in the universities. The thing is that during the period of 50 years, the diploma should be verified in a digital form. Now, the second stage is run simultaneously, and it is conducted by Institute of Educational Projects, and this will be related to the student's account. So the data available in the repository of the digital diplomas, electronic diplomas, will be also available in the educational account of a given citizen. And the citizen, apart from downloading the electronic diploma, will also be able to generate a document confirming the information included in the repository. So according to the regulations, these documents will be treated as equally valid as the electronic diploma. So the system will generate the certificates with information corresponding to that included in the electronic diploma or the graduation certificate from the high school or primary school. So historically, as the university will be able to add the data of our graduates, well, today we have the data from the last 10 years showing who graduated from the university, what scientific titles the person has obtained, etc. So, but this is of course related to the topic of adding the data from the previous years. So we have some EU-funded projects, as part of which we are going to pay the universities for preparing digital archives of the diplomas issued in the previous years. Let me note one more thing that I mentioned yesterday probably. In connection with the change of the regulations that has happened, the role of the Poland system will change. Up till now, it has been the system established for the ministry to conduct scientific policy, to manage universities, to evaluate the education, calculating the subsidies, etc. It was also used for statistical purposes. Now, considering that the information entered by universities to the system will feature in digital documents, Poland will become a reference system for public services. So this should be borne in mind. Marcin, probably you'll confirm that. At the moment, the data in the Poland system are not of sufficient quality for that. Yeah, let me add something to that, because this is also related to the electronic student's file and the need to store it. There has been an amendment made to the labor law regarding this obligation to store the employee's data for 50 years. There is a possibility now for the employer to upload the documents regarding the employee to the system. And in such a case, the employer will not have to keep or store the employee's data for 50 years. So this is an additional incentive for universities to enter the historical or archival data about the students in the new repository, because then they won't have this obligation to keep the archival files of the students. Well, I've just realized, actually I realized during the COVID-19 pandemic, that Poland celebrated the 10th anniversary of existence. I got to know it in 2012, if I remember correctly, and thanks to the support of the colleagues from the Information Processing Center, I learned step by step how to do the analysis, how to download some information, etc. Well, it didn't quite work, because as Łukasz has said, in order to acquire this knowledge, it's not enough to know where to click on the screen. You also need to know the obligations of the universities, and the quality of the data differs. So, in the situation of different approaches to different solutions, I still support the idea of Poland becoming the reference system, because this might lead to higher quality of data included in Poland. As was said yesterday during the panel summarizing the 5 years of functioning of the law, I do agree with the fact that Poland is over-regulated and it contains too much information. This is yet another aspect that needs to be taken into account, and this also leads to the need to amend the regulations. Because there is a lot of information that in Poland that we don't even use. If we don't use the information, nobody else uses it. Well, thank you very much for this statement. This will lead us to the topic of central recruitment, because when our candidates fill in the information to be recruited to some university, they really need some time to enter all the data, like the town where they live, the size of the town, number of inhabitants, etc. I know that the ministry has this concept, and the purpose is okay. I mean, the system does not have to know whether Warsaw has, the specific number of inhabitants. This is the type of data that can be verified statistically. The project is ongoing. This is the service available in edukacja.pl. For now, we have the first stage of central recruitment. This is the possibility to verify the requirements of universities to the students. We have information what universities are active in Poland, what faculties are available, in what place, etc., etc. Now, what will it look like in the future from the point of view of the universities? This would be an interesting thing, because being here at this conference, I've already had several opinions on what central recruitment will look like. So could we somehow structure this? What is the vision of the ministry regarding recruitment from the point of view of the universities? Will this replace our recruitment systems? Will it operate in parallel, or what? Ladies and gentlemen, the general concept is that we are not going to replace the recruitment systems that you have that make some calculations that are fit to your universities. Because there are some general universities, there are medical universities, artistic universities, etc., etc., and they have their own quite complex and different principles to recruit students. So we're thinking about the central recruitment system as an umbrella system, where, first of all, the candidate will be able to learn about the offer of individual universities, getting basic information on the recruitment requirements that exist. The system would validate part of the information because there will be information available from the central educational information system and the system containing data on high school final examinations, etc. So the student will be able, the potential student will be able to choose the faculty that they are interested in, that they can make the payment and make the decision on the choice. The task of our system, as I see it, I'm saying that as I see it because right now we're still working on the concept. The task should be to confirm the identity of the person for the university. Secondly, this educational certificate should be provided. Let me remind you that this certificate to be generated by education.pl portal will be equal to the graduation document. So it will contain exactly the same information as the information contained on the certificate after the final examination, after high school, and this will be provided to the internal systems of universities. Here, probably it will be necessary to integrate the recruitment systems from different universities, which will analyze the applications of a given person, the potential student, and these will have to be integrated with a central system. So universities will use their own internal systems, and the students will receive feedback to their own account, because the recruitment will be conducted through this account. So the student will receive the feedback to what universities or faculties they've been accepted to. Then the student will pick the faculties they want, and feedback will be provided to the system which faculties have been rejected. So this will facilitate the additional recruitment process, because universities will get information about the vacancies that they still have sooner. So it will not be necessary for the candidates anymore to go to the university in person during the recruitment process. Well, the vision of the ministry is to attract foreign students to the universities. So they should be provided with one central recruitment point for foreign students also. And also to show the candidates the oral results, for example, and the achievements that the university has in a more structured manner. So generally speaking, the assumption is not that it will be the ministry to decide that Kowalski is getting in and Nowak is not getting in. It will just be an interface for the candidates. And then the university will communicate with the service, collecting the information who has entered a given university. Well, let me first relate to the process itself. The system, after the first year of functioning, will include the full set of statistical information. After the first any indicators that will be facilitate the future students to make the choices using this tool. So in our opinion, in the context of foreign students, the situation is more complex because, first of all, they don't have the PESEL number, the Polish identification number, but maybe so unless some European digital identity is established, this will be difficult. We will have to service these students in a more analog manner. How I see it is that they will definitely be able to make the choice through the system, and they will be able to send the application to the university through the system, but then they will have to go there in person and sign the documents. But definitely the recruitment will be easier for them because this will be a single standardized system where they will be able to pick Polish universities. Well, probably you'll agree that in the case of the universities that are more popular among students, students registered to different faculties in different universities, if it's possible. And the big value of the system would be to force the students to make the final decision by a given deadline. So, so the universities would really have a clear picture. Yes, I know the time is over. The universities would know how many people are recruited, how many candidates have made their final choice concerning a given university. Well, will the ministry help the students in this recruitment? Because sometimes, students apply to different faculties at different universities, and then some universities are left with vacancies when the students give up. Well, I know we could further discuss this topic, but I understand that our speakers will be available during the break also, so you'll be able to ask additional questions.